AITA for turning around my dad's failing business and making my siblings angry? Throwaway account because my family knows my main. I, 32M, never thought I'd be writing one of these posts, but here I am, caught in a family drama. Some background: my dad started a small manufacturing company about 35 years ago. It was his pride and joy, and for most of my childhood, it was doing pretty well. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Dad always talked about how the business would be our legacy, something for all of us kids to inherit and run together. There are 4 of us siblings: me, 32M, my older sister Sarah, 35F, my younger brother Mike, 29M, and the baby of the family, Amy, 26F. Growing up, we all worked in the business during summers and school breaks. Dad made sure we knew every aspect of it, from the shop floor to the office. As we got older, we all went our separate ways. Sarah became a teacher, Mike went into finance, and Amy became a graphic designer. I was the only one who stuck with the family business, working my way up from the bottom. I got my degree in business management and came back to work full-time. About 5 years ago, things started going downhill. The industry was changing, and Dad was resistant to new technologies and methods. He was stuck in his ways, and the business was suffering. I tried to suggest changes, but Dad wouldn't hear it. "We've always done it this way," he'd say, shutting down any discussion. 2 years ago, Dad was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. It was devastating for all of us, but especially for Mom. She'd always been the backbone of our family, and now she had to watch the love of her life slowly slip away. As Dad's condition worsened, the business tanked. We were hemorrhaging money, and I could see that if something didn't change, we'd be bankrupt within a year. That's when I decided to step up. I went to my siblings with a proposal. I'd take over the day-to-day running of the business, implement the changes I'd been wanting to make for years, and try to turn things around. In return, I asked for a larger share of the company minus 40%, with the remaining 60% split equally among my siblings. They agreed, mainly because none of them wanted to deal with the mess the business had become. Sarah was focused on her growing family, Mike was climbing the corporate ladder, and Amy was building her freelance career. They were happy to let me take on the headache. And what a headache it was. The first year was hell. I worked 80-hour weeks, made tough decisions, and laid off people who'd been with the company for decades. I modernized our production line, revamped our marketing strategy, and aggressively pursued new clients. There were times I thought I'd made a huge mistake, that I was in over my head. But slowly, things started to turn around. We started landing bigger contracts. Our efficiency improved, and our reputation in the industry began to recover. By the end of the second year, we were not only out of the red but actually turning a profit for the first time in years. That's when the trouble started. Suddenly, my siblings were interested in the business again. Sarah started showing up at the office, asking questions about our finances. Mike wanted to be involved in investment decisions. Amy thought we should rebrand and offered to design a new logo. At first, I was excited. This was what Dad had always wanted, all of us working together. But it quickly became apparent that they didn't just want to be involved, they wanted control. They started questioning every decision I made. Why did I fire Uncle Bob? Because he was embezzling. Why did I change our main supplier? Because I found one that offered better quality for less money. Why did I hire that new sales team? Because they've tripled our revenue in 6 months. Things came to a head last week at our quarterly family meeting. Sarah suggested that now that the business was doing well again, we should revisit the ownership split. Mike thought we should start taking higher salaries. Amy wanted to hire her friend as our new marketing director, despite the fact that our current marketing team is doing an amazing job. I stood my ground. I reminded them of the state the business was in when I took over, of the blood, sweat, and tears I'd put into turning it around. I pointed out that none of them had wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole when it was failing, but now that it was successful, they wanted to cash in. The meeting devolved into a shouting match. Sarah accused me of betraying Dad's vision of a family-run business. Mike called me greedy and said I was no better than the corporate fat cats he deals with. Amy burst into tears and said I was bullying her. I'll admit, I lost my cool. I told them they were being entitled and ungrateful, that if it weren't for me, there wouldn't be a business left to fight over. I said that if they wanted to be involved, they should have stepped up 2 years ago when I asked for help. They stormed out, and I haven't heard from any of them since. Mom called me the next day, crying, saying that Dad would be heartbroken to see us fighting like this. She begged me to make peace with my siblings, to find a way to work together. I feel torn. On one hand, I know I've earned my larger share of the business. I took all the risk, put in all the work, and turned a failing company into a success. On the other hand, this is tearing my family apart, and I know it would devastate Dad if he was lucid enough to understand what's happening. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to give my siblings more control over the business I saved? Should I stick to my guns, or should I compromise for the sake of family peace? I'm at a loss here, and any advice would be appreciated. Edit 1. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thank you all for your responses. I'm overwhelmed by the support and advice. I'll try to address some of the common questions and comments. 1. Yes, we have a legal agreement about the 40-60 split. It was all done properly with lawyers involved. 2. No, my siblings didn't invest any money when I took over. They were actually relieved to not have to put money into a failing business. 3. Dad's condition has progressed to the point where he's in a care facility. He has good days and bad days, but he's not capable of making business decisions anymore. 4. Mom is not involved in the business directly. She's focused on taking care of Dad. 5. To those suggesting I buy out my siblings, I've considered it, but I'm not sure I can afford it right now. The business is doing well, but we're still reinvesting a lot of the profits to fuel growth. 6. For those asking about employees, yes, I had to make some tough decisions and let people go when I took over. But as we've grown, we've been able to hire many of them back, often in better positions than they had before. I appreciate all the perspectives shared. It's given me a lot to think about. I'll post another update after I've had a chance to talk with my family again. Edit 2. Things have taken an unexpected turn. I'll post a full update soon, but the short version is, my siblings and I had a long, emotional conversation last night. There were tears, accusations, and eventually, some understanding. We're not completely out of the woods, but we're working on it. Full update coming once I've had some sleep and time to process everything. Update: it's been a week since my original post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped me gain perspective on the situation. Here's what's gone down. The day after my post, I received a group text from my siblings. They wanted to meet and talk things out. I was hesitant, but I agreed. We decided to meet at a neutral location, a private room in a restaurant we used to go to as kids. When I arrived, I was surprised to see Mom there too. She had apparently convinced my siblings that we needed to hash this out as a family. The meeting started off tense. There was a lot of awkward silence and avoiding eye contact. Finally, Mom spoke up. She told us how disappointed she was in all of us, how Dad would be heartbroken to see his children fighting like this. Then she did something none of us expected. She pulled out a letter. It was from Dad, written shortly after his diagnosis. Mom explained that he had written letters to each of us, to be opened after his death. But given the circumstances, she felt we needed to hear this one now. In the letter, Dad talked about his hopes and fears for the business. He acknowledged that he had made mistakes, that he had been too stubborn to change with the times. He expressed regret for putting so much pressure on us to be involved in the business, saying that he realized now that we needed to find our own paths. But the part that really hit home was when he talked about me. He wrote about how proud he was of my dedication to the business, how he saw in me the passion and drive that he had when he first started. He said he knew that if anyone could save the company, it would be me. By the time Mom finished reading, we were all in tears. It was like Dad was there with us, reminding us of what really mattered. After that, the floodgates opened. We talked for hours, really talked, in a way we hadn't in years. My siblings admitted that they felt guilty for abandoning the business when things got tough, and that their recent behavior was partly driven by that guilt. They also confessed to feeling jealous of my success, especially since they had initially thought I was making a mistake by sticking with the company. I opened up about how isolated and overwhelmed I'd felt over the past 2 years. I told them about the sleepless nights, the constant stress, the fear of failure. I admitted that I'd been so focused on saving the business that I'd pushed them away, afraid that they'd interfere or try to talk me out of it. We all realized that we'd been acting out of fear and insecurity, letting old rivalries and resentments cloud our judgment. We'd forgotten that we were supposed to be a team, a family. After a lot of discussion, and a few more tears, we came to an agreement. 1. The ownership split will remain as is, 40% me, 15% each for my siblings. They recognize the risk I took and the work I put in to turn things around. 2. We'll have monthly family meetings where I'll update everyone on the business's status and major decisions. They'll have input, but final decisions will still rest with me. 3. We'll look for ways to involve my siblings that play to their strengths. Sarah's going to help with our employee training programs. Mike's going to advise on financial matters. Amy's going to work on some rebranding ideas, but as a paid contractor, not an employee. 4. We're setting up a profit-sharing system so that as the business grows, everyone benefits. 5. Most importantly, we're committing to regular family dinners, no business talk allowed. We've realized how much we've drifted apart and we want to fix that. It's not a perfect solution, and I'm sure we'll have bumps along the way. But it feels like we're moving in the right direction. We're talking again, really talking, and remembering that we're family first, business partners second. As for me, I feel like a weight has been lifted. I didn't realize how much I'd been carrying until I was able to share it with my siblings. I'm excited about the future of the business in a way I haven't been in a long time. Dad's letter was a wake-up call for all of us. We'd lost sight of what he really wanted, not just a successful business, but a close-knit family. We're recommitting to both of those goals now. Thank you again, Reddit, for all your advice and support. It really helped me approach this conversation with an open mind and heart. Wish us luck as we navigate this new chapter in our family business saga. TLDR, had a heart-to-heart with my siblings, facilitated by Mom and a surprise letter from Dad. We aired our grievances, acknowledged our mistakes, and came up with a plan to move forward as a family and as business partners. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Final edit. Wow, I'm overwhelmed by the response to this update. Thank you all for your kind words and support. To address a few common questions. 1. Yes, we're going to formalize our new agreement legally. We've learned our lesson about the importance of clear, written agreements. 2. We're looking into family business counseling to help us navigate this new dynamic. We want to make sure we're setting ourselves up for long-term success, both as a business and as a family. 3. For those asking about Dad, he's stable, but his condition continues to progress. We're making sure he gets the best care possible, and we visit him often. On his good days, we tell him about the business and our new family dinners. He may not always understand, but he smiles, and that means the world to us. 4. Mom has been our rock through all of this. We've decided to set up a special fund from the business profits to make sure she's taken care of and can focus on Dad without financial worries. 5. To the person who asked, yes, Uncle Bob, the embezzler, is facing legal consequences. It was a tough decision, but we had to protect the business and our employees. Thank you again, Reddit. Your advice and support helped turn a potential family tragedy into a new beginning for us. I'll always be grateful for that.